Hello and welcome to another episode of the Landscaper Grower Show. My name is Mark Lamberth. I'm your host. Today I'm speaking with Tony Meade at Meade Landscaping at Fort Collins. Tony, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. We've been having a couple little technical difficulties on my end. Really appreciate you staying with us here. I'm really excited about the interview. Yeah, I'd love to start here, Tony, just by hearing what services you provide for your customers there in Fort Collins.
I'm a residential landscape company doing installs, designs, primarily hardscapes, landscape, and irrigation. I specialize in the hardscape, patios, walkways, fire pits, retaining walls, outdoor kitchens, living spaces, but I do it all as far as landscape install. A big trend in the last couple years has been xeriscaping, where we're shrinking or eliminating grass just to be conscientious about water conservation, and it's something that's becoming more and more common.
Gotcha. Okay. And so you say, are you be doing mostly or total just residential, no commercial?
Residential. I would do small commercial contracts, but I add all of residential pretty much, yeah. The housing market here, there's a lot of residences, and there's always someone that needs landscaping work.
I love it. And so you say you're mostly kind of focused on the hardscaping side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I worked for another landscape company for 12 years, and that's where I obtained my skill set. And really, with my own company, I started in 2021, and I just pay attention to the attention to detail, trying to make sure I go above and beyond for my customers, and just really do my installs as if it was my own home, and just pay attention, making sure everything's done correctly.
I love it. How many people do you have on the team?
I have 2 full-time guys and 2 part-time guys, but right now it is a 1 crew gig, but my next goal is to get more trucks and trailers and have other crews going. But on my jobs, I'm at every job, and I'm actually doing the work with my guys, making sure everything's done correctly, quality control, and just communicating with the customers, making sure they're aware of what we're doing, and if they have any questions, just making sure that they know every step of the process.
Gotcha. So we've talked to folks up in Minnesota, all the way up north, all the way down to San Diego, southern Texas. I'm curious, like, how seasonal is the work here in Fort Collins? We're here in Denver. You guys are an hour and a half north. How much, are you guys working 12 months out of the year, 10 months?
It is seasonal, but I mean, with how mild our winters have been, if the ground's not frozen, I continue to do hardscape in the winter. Obviously, no irrigation or anything. And with landscape installs, I try not to plant anything in that season, but I do, if I'm on a job, I'll plant empty pots or something and then come back in the spring and install the plant material. But last year I worked a couple jobs in January and February, but it is typical to have some downtime in the winter. I honestly focus that time into seeing family and traveling and stuff like that.
Awesome. So I used to be in the trades, built a number of houses back in the day, did a bunch of remodels. We've kind of worked in our business here, as kind of consultant for home service companies. We've been moving over into working more with landscapers, partially because I love landscapers. They're just like cool people. And I think that if I was getting back into the trades, I'd actually get into hardscaping myself, of like all of the trades, just because I love that kind of outdoor space. And, it seems like it's kind of more thankful work, if you will, than other things, maybe in the trades, certainly other industries. Why have you focused on hardscaping?
I mean, it's hard work, but it is very rewarding when I'm helping a customer design their landscape and outdoor space. I try to make use of all of the space in a logical way where there's no weird spots that aren't being used. I'll try to have a good ratio of hardscape to landscape and just make sure the design is giving them the best bang for their buck, where I ask them questions and make sure that we're in agreement to where I want them to love the project. When I got into patios, it took a long time to master, but it is the most rewarding aspect of the landscape industry for me. It does feel good to turn a dirt lot into something where people are going to have barbecues and spend time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm curious, when you come into a project, when someone calls you, what is the best phase for you to start in? I mean, you probably get calls from people who are thinking about doing a project next year. Maybe you also get people who've already got some design of some kind,
Yep.
and they're like, "This is what I want." Is it better for you to come in at some phase of the project? I mean, like really early on, or design process work?
A lot of clients don't really have some have visions and some rely on me to figure it out. There are a lot of new builds in Fort Collins. There's a lot of development happening. And so it's a good ratio of old landscapes that need TLC and remodeling. And then there's a lot of brand new houses that are just dirt and need a full install. I probably do 40% new install and then 60% of a landscape remodel where the yard's been neglected or something, or they just want to change stuff. But most jobs, I give my professional opinion and then kind of pick their brain and then give 3D renderings where I use a software called Xeriscape, where I take a picture and then do a 3D rendering over that photo. I feel like that impresses clients more than like a two-dimensional AutoCAD software. The 3D really helps give them a visualization, and then it's easy to make changes on. If they want to change plant material or the size of the patio, I can make those changes. And then it does help with communication and just speeding up the design process. But sometimes the homeowners are just like, I trust you, make it look good, do whatever you want. And it's nice when I get the freedom to do that. But even clients that want something in particular, I every time can get it what they want.
Love it. So, here in Colorado, I mean, a lot of folks are, really concerned about the environment. It's awesome. And you talked about this trend of xeriscaping, taking out grass, things that require a lot of high water. How long has that trend been going on, and what are you seeing in the marketplace of what people want around that type of service?
Yeah, I mean, the last couple years we haven't been getting a lot of snow in the winter. So, like, I know in Denver there's water restrictions. There's none right now in Fort Collins, but most people are water-wise conscious, where I mean, whether they don't want to spend money on watering and getting the grass mowed, or they want to go towards like pollinating where they're attracting bees and birds and stuff. But yeah, I just go through that process and teach them what plants thrive here, sun-loving, drought-tolerant plants, and then combining that with boulders and rock material or mulch or whatever. It's rare to have an entire lawn eliminated. A lot of people choose to shrink their lawn a little bit. Some want to have some grass, primarily if they have dogs or something. But it has been very common in the last 2 years to rip out the front yard and redo it xeriscape.
Wow, amazing. Cool. And then you have been running Meade Landscaping since 2021, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, but you've been in the industry a lot longer than that.
Yeah, I worked for a couple landscape companies. I was a foreman for probably the biggest landscape company in Fort Collins, Bath Landscape. And they're like my family. Yeah, I learned a lot in the trade with them. And then once 2021 came, I just decided to try to go off on my own. I figured I needed to give it a shot.
Love it. I mean, since you've been around the company in 2021, last 4 or 5 years, any surprises in running the business? Any challenges, or good or bad or whatever, but just kind of surprises. I didn't plan on getting that. This was part of it.
Yep.
But then you kind of worked through and resolved somehow.
Yeah, there's always some unforeseen challenges on every project where I try to not have surprises with my clients where communication is key for me, making sure they're aware of every step of the project. But there have all the challenges I've undertaken, I've overcome. There hasn't been any like major setbacks or like feelings of failure or anything. I guess my biggest obstacle is like purchasing machinery and more trucks and trailers. But as far as I feel like with proper communication, there hasn't been any disgruntled feelings or jobs gone wrong or anything like that. I truly feel with good communication, you can overcome obstacles before they become major problems.
Love it. That is awesome. And then Tony, just kind of regarding growing the business, any thoughts about, best ways to do that? I mean, you got a bunch of great reviews, inevitably, I imagine you've grown the thing, just by word of mouth. Any other efforts that you put in to kind of like, whether it was getting started or as you've grown, ways you've marketed or kind of sped up kind of the growth of the business? Wondered, for other folks in the industry, any tips you might have about growing it?
I mean, you were correct. It is mostly word of mouth in this community. There's so many houses, and a lot of times when I'm on a job, the next door neighbor comes over and they're like, "Hey, can you give me an estimate?" And then sometimes I'm doing 5 or 6 houses in the same neighborhood, which is nice. I haven't paid a ton of money on marketing and advertising. Like I was doing Yelp and like Facebook and stuff, but honestly, it's primarily been word of mouth and just going the extra mile with attention to detail on each project, not cutting corners and just making sure everything's done right. That speaks for itself. And when people walk by or drive by, they see it and they're like, "Hey, can you come see my yard?" And that's honestly been how I get most of my jobs.
That's amazing. Awesome, Tony. Well, I took a look. You've got a beautiful website. You got a lot of great reviews. Looks like you're doing just amazing work on the community. A lot of amazing photos on your site of the work that you guys have done, which is really helpful to have that gallery. I'm taking a look at it right now. Just, a lot of just beautiful work.
Thank you.
If folks are in Fort Collins and are looking for a great, hardscaping company and or, landscaping project company to work with, what are the best ways to get in touch with you guys?
Through my website, which is meadelandscaping.com. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram. That's another project I need to get better with, is enhancing my social media pages, but they're there. I do a little bit of work on those, but most of the clients that find me on Google, my Google business page, which would be Meade Landscaping. And I pop up fairly high on the pages. Sometimes it fluctuates, but if people Google Meade Landscaping Fort Collins, I'll pop up for sure. And that's
very cool.
I'm on Nextdoor as well. I've gotten a lot of jobs through Nextdoor.
Okay, great. Well, you can take a look at Tony's site over at meadelandscaping.com. It's MEADE landscaping.com. Give him a call or take a look at their Instagram, Facebook. See some great photos over there as well. Tony, thanks so much for coming on the show today, man. Sharing all your experience with the company.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. It's been a pleasure.